Hi, I'm Sarah Prescott, Executive Director of BioQuest and one of the co-facilitators for this Create Faculty Mentoring Network, or FMN. This FMN brought together an amazing group of chemistry faculty who created modules as part of the American Chemical Society Green Chemistry Institute's curriculum development project. We are excited to hear from them about the great work they accomplished and the lessons they learned from this experience.
Hi, I'm Dan Waddell, Associate Professor at the University of Cincinnati. I worked on one of the modules, largely centering around electrochemistry. I liked thinking about this electrochemistry topic. I feel like when I teach General Chemistry 2, which is a course that I often teach, that I feel like I'm rushing through the topic of electrochemistry kind of towards the end of the semester. Things are going quickly, and so I was excited to think more deeply about integrating this topic into these modules that way. So yeah, so I typically teach general chemistry courses, often large class sizes, usually large lectures, could be as many as 450 to 500 students in the lectures. And so really finding a topic that I think that students can relate to and that is relevant and that common examples can be found of that are coming in the news each day in the electrochemistry and battery space, I think is an exciting topic to look at. Really enjoyed this faculty mentoring network experience. It's been really great getting to know other faculty across the country, and really talking through not only these modules but teaching practices in general. And so, yeah, I think I really enjoyed my time.
Hi, my name is Amy Chu. I'm an assistant professor at St. Mary's College of California. So my collaborator, Baso, and we jointly created the module on introduction of acid and base ideas. And this module is separated into 3 different units that Baso and I worked on together. So generally, I usually teach general chemistry 1 and 2, as well as inorganic chemistry for our upper division. And I was initially interested in this topic. We were initially interested in this topic because of the importance of carbon dioxide and its role in the acidity of the ocean. As well as how acid and base properties affect pharmaceutical compounds and how they're synthesized and purified in industry. So Basil will talk a little bit more about that, about our module, but I think the FMN experience was very valuable to me. And instead of kind of talking in more generic terms, a specific example is when I was working on a lot of the carbon dioxide bits in the acid-base module. I was so focused on using carbon dioxide as my only example, but this group actually gave me lots of ideas and information and data to bring in acid rain as well into the module. And I thought that was really cool, and it became a very important part of one of the units. And thoughts on future work is I'm personally quite interested in assessing how students learn about green chemistry in these modules. So very much looking forward to contributing and learning about that.
Hello, I'm Vasily Corinu. I'm at the Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department. I'm an associate teaching professor at Northeastern University in Boston. I worked with Amy, as she just said, in the acid-base module. The reason I was very interested in this module is that I have done some previous work before in this project that was for a teaching lab for a first year general chemistry course, where we looked at natural products, basically alkaloids, and I work with the graduate students. So I thought, okay, that would be a nice module to work on because it help students look at molecules that are generally very complex, but you can explain a lot of what they do just thinking about the acid-base properties and, if something is a conjugate or not, just a very, very fundamental understanding of aqueous acid-base chemistry. So I thought I could build from that, and that's how the development started. I teach in the general chemistry cohort. I typically am involved in very large classes of this one semester accelerated course we have, which is a bit of a challenge, to implement new content. But there's ways to do it. So that's one semester general chemistry course, but I also teach the 2-semester sequence, which is the more classical, 1-year Gen Chem. But I also now have been teaching the Introduction to Green Chemistry and Toxicology course, and not only from our module, but for a lot of things we all have done together here as a big cohort. There's a lot of things I can take from there. And that has been one of the many, many valuable things of being involved in this work. What I would like to do about future work in this space, I very much like the idea of continuing building a community of faculty where, we take what we've done here with the modules, but sort of creating a space where people can be supported to do this implementation, do this kind of work, because I know how impactful that was for me. And I know that's usually the challenge that most faculty have, to be able to be in a space where other people support you, the wonderful support and resources GCI provides. And that's important to me. So not only to continue to put this work in my classrooms and help my department and my students, but also create these viable communities, which is essential. And this is where my comments for the FMN experience could be connected to. Moreover, I really believe in communities of practice, right? I see this in my students, peer learning works for students as well as for faculty. And I cannot stress enough how this is GCI, this group, right, the FNM has been, as also Amy was saying, a place where you can have an essential conversation, and you can evolve your understanding, like my understanding as a faculty. And that has been invaluable, and it has implication not only for me, but it's also in my department, right? So a lot of things that I went back and I did there, the communities I was able to build longitudinally come from that. I mean, learning is difficult, learning takes time, but unless you have a community, it's very hard, right, to evolve. So I would say this has been an amazing, amazing community, not just to finish our modules, but just simply really evolve as faculty.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bhavani Venkatraman. I'm an associate professor of chemistry at Eugene Lang College, which is part of the New School in New York City. And I've been working with Michael on these modules. So our modules focus on solutions chemistry. One of the modules looks at the role of intermolecular forces and solubility, and in particular looking at the universal solvent property of water that makes it both essential for life, but also susceptible to contamination. And we use that as a way to connect a module on solubility to the UN SDG on access to safe drinking water. The second module focuses on concentration units. And our intent is to try to underscore the importance of why we need to understand various ways of quantifying dissolved chemicals and connect that to the national primary drinking water regulations under the Safe Drinking Water Act in the United States that regulates the quality of the water that we all consume. And this also therefore connects to the UN SDGs, SDG 6, and in particular SDG 6 as with the other SDGs, connects to a lot of the other SDG goals. What made me particularly interested in working on this module is when Michael and I were paired up and we were trying to figure out what topic to focus on. I shared with him that something that I've been doing for a while in my general chemistry classes is using the water molecule as a lens to connect from the molecular scale to the social and policy scale. And as I often tell my students, trying to make the invisible visible through the context through which we understand and explore chemistry. As we all are aware, chemistry is a topic that often students find challenging. They don't quite see often the relevance of why they have to focus on a scale that's so absurdly small. But a lot of my work is trying to get them to think about, well, what happens on that scale really dictates so much of the world that we engage with. And connecting it to issues on water, which is something that we all have an intimate relationship with, I found has been a very effective way of teaching some of those core principles in the first semester and contextualizing them in ways. And so Michael was a great partner, ready to jump on board. And so we dove into the solutions chemistry module. And so, as I was also said, I teach general chemistry courses. And so to me, having a community like this to share ways in which I've been thinking about teaching general chemistry, but also to learn from everybody about the ways in which they are trying to get their students to overcome this challenge that we all face. With many of our students, and why is it that chemistry is something that should be part of their education, particularly in liberal arts context, where many students might feel, what does chemistry have to do with the things that the world is dealing with? And so I think for me, something that I've often told my students, chemistry is necessary for many of to understand many of the challenge we face, but not sufficient. So how do we connect chemistry to other disciplines to address these global challenges, whether it's climate change or air pollution or water quality? And I think talking to all of you really helped me think about these issues critically. And for me personally, I'm in a very small department. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to engage with other chemists, particularly people are really thinking deeply about how to effectively communicate chemistry to their students. And so this has been a wonderful opportunity for me personally. And I really want to thank Sarah and David for organizing this, and all of you here for being part of this community. And then finally, moving forward, I think for the same reasons, I would love to be engaged in things that ACSGCI are doing around the teaching and learning of chemistry through these contexts. It's something that I think many of us have been doing for a while, and this program has allowed, at least me personally, an opportunity to sort of take what I've been doing and take it to a different level through the conversations that I've had with all of you. So I look forward just to being part of this community moving forward.
All right, hello. My name is Michael Wenzel. I am the chair and the Lindstrom Family Endowed Professor of Chemistry at Augsburg University in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I was partnered with Bhavani, as previously mentioned, and our two modules were on solutions and advanced solutions. I teach organic chemistry. So I rarely teach general chemistry, but I often teach a non-majors green and sustainable chemistry course, or and I also teach a study abroad course focused on green and sustainable chemistry. So I brought a different lens, perhaps, of seeing those connections between general chemistry or intro chemistry to organic chemistry. Our first module was really based on those intermolecular forces, and as an organic chemist, seeing those things and trying to help understand how general chemistry those things are taught was really critical and important. And in advanced solutions, also seeing, visualizing parts per billion, parts per million, parts per trillion. And what we really focused on was water, was as this universal solvent, but also, really kind of give it a contextualize about these UN SDGs, which I think I want to make sure our students, especially students in the United States, UN SDGs these are things that are important for all of us. Access to clean, safe water is really important. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. PFAS, those type of polyfluorinated alkyl substances are part of our water system here, and helping, and that reaches to students, and students understand the critical importance of understanding and testing those things for safe drinking water for our local communities. I think, as a liberal arts person, I think of systems thinking, and I think about as I'm reflecting on this, I'm seeing different systems of professors, of students, of places in the world, different types of chemistry, and how all those things are interconnected, and as we create these communities, how we talk to each other, how that's really critical, and that science is for everyone, and that we need to be able to reach people in those different ways. I really think systems thinking is the ultimate liberal arts. We train students to not only be chemists, scientists, we train them to be, people that fight for justice, people that want to make the world a better place than they found it. And I think that's a really critical part, and that will reach students and inspire them to think about and want to work with these things. As far as reflecting on this community, I think one of the biggest things I found friends. Uh, I love working in teams, and I think what we find out is that um, we're better. We help each other, and I think that's for me the most rewarding thing is I found a great new friend in Bawani, and all of you as well. But I always look forward to those meetings and making time for those and these kind of meetings too, and dedicating that time and making that time sacred and trying your best to say this matters. I'm putting it in, and it's going to be a real thing. And that was the same thing with this faculty mentor network, being able to bounce ideas off each other and see the interconnectedness of our own modules. But I think the other biggest thing is we want people to use these. We want to make these things accessible. Um, we have to find ways to contextualize these things but also we want people to use these things. So I would also please, if people are working on these things, reach out to us. We want to talk. We want to talk to you. We want to answer those questions. We want people to use these. Right. That's the most important thing. So future work, I'd love to keep working on these type of things, thinking about new courses. As I think most colleges are changing, maybe becoming more and more interdisciplinary, right? These ideas of departments and silos or things are kind of collapsing on each other. This is the ultimate interdisciplinary type thing. So I would want people to think more about that in these courses. And really, I guess at the end of the day, just very grateful for this opportunity to work with people, want to keep doing it. And then, I just want people to use these things. I think that's the most important thing is at the end of the day, um, a little bit is better than nothing. And so, reach out to us, work with us. People want more people in this community. Um, it's a big group. We have plenty of room. So please join us.
Well, thank you to Sarah, first and foremost, but all of the instructors in this group for everything you've done to ensure the success of this FMN, which more or less has been up and running weekly since January of this year, January 2025. So that's about 4 months or so. I'm David LaVisca, Portfolio Manager for Green Chemistry and Sustainability in Education at the ACS GCI. And this initiative is one of many mechanisms we are employing to help faculty as they reimagine the way they teach chemistry in higher education, as you have heard today. This FMN is the first of what we hope will be many future ones that bring together chemistry instructors to brainstorm, create, and publish their resources, and then share best practices for effective pedagogy in the chemistry classroom, laboratory, and across the sciences more broadly. You've heard this spoken of eloquently today by our instructors. I would like to point out that everyone on this call, including Sarah and me, we're part of the original cohort of instructors from across the United States and Canada who were selected to create resources under the auspices of the original iteration of this project way back in 2021. And so it has taken some time for us to evolve to a place where not only are there amazing resources being created, but you're hearing comments of the sort that you've heard from this subset of instructors today. Many of these folks are already mentors to other instructors who want to modernize their curricula, and they will also be mentors in future iterations of our FMNs. And we hope that you will join us starting in fall of 2025 or as part of another future cohort. Please feel encouraged to dig into our curricular resources and join the conversation. We want you to add your voice. We want you to add your perspective, and we want you to add your experience to the conversation. And we hope to collaborate with you soon.